Good evening and welcome to the continuing saga of Greenhill Hall and, if you like, the subplot of how to do model railway cheaply. What I'm just going to show you quickly here tonight is hopefully how to build relatively cheap, easy, scratch-built model railway buildings. The main thing here is that you can use this 5mm cardboard. What I've got here is something that's a bit thicker than the usual. It's a heavier weight corrugated cardboard than the usual. But it was all free, just comes from packaging. The main advantage as well as scratch building, apart from being a bit cheaper hopefully, is to get them to fit the particular layout. So we've had a bit of a problem with some of the kit buildings not really fitting. So what I've got here, if you look at the pieces, relatively simple. It's all squares. Anybody with the basic ruler and piece of paper, admittedly I had a bit of technical drawing training when I was a kid, but it's not difficult. I did try doing curved windows, but they're too difficult to cut out of this thick card. So we've got square windows and doors. What I would suggest is go on the internet, have good looks for photographs. These books are very good as well, if you can find these. Chris Leith, full of photographs and some plans. So this one, I've just taken the measurements off of a good standard Airfix Daypole signal box, engine shed. And these are the components. So the main part here, there's just this 6 or 7 pieces, as I say, cut out using nothing more complicated than a steel edge, a Stanley knife and a good cutting board, not your wife's best kitchen worktop. You do need a steel edge. These now are very cheap to buy in places like Poundland and Hobbycraft. You do need a straight edge and a decent Stanley knife. I've had this one for getting on for 30 years. It's made all my scratch-built tanks and aircraft and all sorts of things over the years. Good heavyweight knife. So, very simply, this is going to be the loading bay. And what I've got here is a piece of card, very Blue Peter this, for anybody old enough to remember Blue Peter.
I think it's still on.
There you go. And this is just going to go on there. And tonight I'm just going to show, this is the basic building, and then at a later stage we'll show you how we use the brick paper and everything. Now the advantage of a good shed is that you've got an internal bracing from the platform edge. You probably find it's better to try and stay in one position. So that's just going to go on there. That should all line up hopefully quite well with the gap on the outside. Slightly higher, I measured the door on a wagon because that's obviously what you're doing here, it's not passenger. And that's hopefully just going to sit like that. Okay. Just move that down a bit. The little pots that Doug's just moved are really worth buying from Hobbycraft. They're a great little piece of kit, much easier for applying glue. Just going to do a couple of triangles in here just to support the platform edge. The other nice thing working with this card is because it doesn't cost very much. It doesn't matter if, I'll show you this one, started trying to cut out windows, didn't work very well, throw it away. If you're building in plasticard, and I know a lot of people build their model railway buildings in plasticard, that's X pence of plasticard. I'm not sure really, the plasticard's probably easier to work with if you're used to it, but I actually grew up making things out of cardboard. So actually cardboard for me is fine, quite happy.
So what we're doing down the back at the moment, it's just underneath we're getting this type of cardboard and just cutting triangles out of it. Like that, look.
And then it should be relatively simple now. Just to stick this edge there.
Which is going to be, so this here is going to be where the goods are loaded on. And that's going to be the entrance for the engines in there. Now this is only part 1, we will do a part 2 where we're putting brick paper and things on it.
This is just the basic shape. And this has worked very well for me, this sort of, when we've been doing things on the main layout, we were only saying today that you can't. I looked at the video we did of the hill, and it's this very square hill with lots of straight edges on the cardboard, and you now look at the hill finished, and we're going to do a video at some point showing you how it now looks, and it's difficult to remember that it was ever this very, you know, square, straight edge.
Because the layout originally was literally just going to be red brick retaining walls, and then just that small hill has transformed it all.
But even the hill was quite a square-looking piece of construction, but it's blended in very well. So we're very much of the kind of build it as you go along. I didn't draw any plans for this. I could have done, but I actually drew it by cutting out the pieces. So as I say, there's...
Keep putting the glue in the way.
Sorry. There's no plans here. It's just the nice thing about good sheds is they're nice square buildings. Once you've got your dimensions, you don't really need a plan. We were both saying though it's strange that Depot Airfix never produced.
Because they produced engine sheds, platforms,
signal
water
box,
towers, everything
except
a good shed. It seems strange, really. So to make all the windows and things, we were using this, which is
that's to do the curves, but it's
curver. So you just draw in.
There you go, and that's the basic design. Now that was easy, wasn't it?
Definitely.
And I think that's something, you know, anybody could do. Some of these buildings, the Scaledale buildings, are very expensive. The problem now is some of the Metcalfe buildings are getting up to £15, £20.
Because like on a few of the videos you've seen, our terminus station, yeah, it looks lovely, but with the platforms and everything, that was about £30.
Well, and we realised afterwards with the platforms that we could very easily have built the platforms ourselves.
Yeah.
Using brick paper. It's just needs
you
a
know,
bit of pressure.
If you're not very good at modelling, you don't have much of a decision. It's better to get your layout right and try and buy it, but it's always a good chance to have a go.
To dry level. And there we go. So we're just going to put a bit of glue around the inside here, to a bit like welding.
Except gluing.
We are using quite cheap PVA here, and I have found the only drawback with it is it does take quite a long time to dry.
But when it dries, it does.
It's fine when it dries, but it's not like using Evo Stick W, which dries quite quickly. What I'm just going to do, I'm just going to get a bit of tape just to tape the corners.
I'll carry on chatting. Move that out of the way because that keeps getting in the way. So that's the basic shape of the goods shed. So here comes the tape.
So I'm just going to get a bit of this masking tape. Just to hold the edges. And from starting to draw this out to building this part has taken me less than an hour. If you're not very good at drawing and designing things, it's relatively simple. This is 6 inches there to there by 4 inches by about the same. Just keep everything simple is always the best, because we're going to put, once this is dry, we're going to stick the thin cardboard over the edge to hide the corrugations. And if you use strange measurements, you know, it's 6 3/8 inches long, you've got to keep measuring and remembering 6 3/8. This will be much easier. This is 5mm card, the internal wall's 6 inches.
Oh, I didn't see you made it pass through.
Yeah, so when it comes to the end, it'll be 6 inches plus a centimetre. I was of an age where I got taught to use both measurements, which is actually quite a help when you're building things. You can use whichever measurement works best. And then we're going to stop fiddling with that now and just let that dry. I'm just going to put a couple of triangles in the top corners where they'll be out of sight, just to add to the strength a bit. I'll have to cut these a different way. Yeah, they're not working very well. Let's just see if they'll cut with a knife better, because they're a little bit small. They fall apart. Oh, that's interesting. Got that bit there. I think we'll put that in later. That's the bottom front.
I don't think it needs one.
Yeah, it will do, because when you look inside it won't be there, will it? So I'm just going to put that piece in. That'll be explain why this kept dropping. And really they're just boxes. Anything you're building is just a box. So for me, when I've built some quite complex tanks and things over the years, just building boxes is relatively straightforward.
Unless you need to make a curved edge.
You can do curved, everything's possible. There, and I'm quite pleased with that. That's a great start to our goods shed.
I'll do a spin of what it looks like.
No, leave it alone. If you're going to film, move. Don't move the building. It's going.
All sides. And inside.